And Elder Speak, it is an extraordinary program in that it just unlocks this amazing collection of memories, experiences that remind us that life is to be lived. It connects people, all of us, the generations, from students who participate in this program to as videographers, as interviewers, as sound techs, and then it all connects back to the life experience of these amazing elders. And every elder is amazing. Everyone's got a great story to tell, as my father always said.
So Elder Speak is a journey. It's a journey into the wisdom. It's the journey from the simple experience. I grew up in a large family, to what does that mean? I grew up in a large family. It's telling that story over and over and over again, re-experiencing it in a way that you really live it. Emotionally, almost physically, it comes alive. And so from that re-experiencing and bringing it alive again, the nugget of understanding, the nugget of wisdom that came from that experience and has guided each person, each one of us, has built upon the next experience and the next experience and the next experience. And so it is that journey from one experience to the next, to the next, to the next. And the person we see our whole life in front of us. And why I do what I do, who I am, why I am what I am. That's what Elder Speak brings.
And I hadn't really ever thought of my life, in a kind of a sense, the sense of a biography. And so I really got to thinking, and yet, you wonder, do I have that much to say? But with questions that they provided, I was able to come up with my life. And I was surprised by all the different things that I really did go through that were kind of adventuresome and yet serious. And it just brought me to a different part of my life. Sometimes we think, what are we here for? And it brought me that. I had more of a reason of why I was who I was.
So one of the things we've noticed with the elders is that the more they tell their life story, the fuller that story becomes. And there's a spark that begins to build inside of that person. And what we've come to believe is that the elders reconnect to themselves as they tell their stories, their life story. It expands their experience back into themselves, and then that reflects back out to the other elders in the group and to us facilitators. And so there's a growth of connection between all of us, and a deepening in each elder of a connection to themselves. They began to feel things and remember things that haven't been remembered or felt for a very long time. And the richness of that, that's what we're mining for, more or less, in Elder Speak.
Elder Speak is not easy to explain. The program, the format is pretty easy to explain, but the actual purpose is not clear to everybody right off the bat. it's often easier to say what it's not than what it is. Like, it's not a self-help program. It's not a seminar. It's not academic. It doesn't have a religious affiliation of any kind. It's really an exploration, and its purpose is, well, it's hard to explain that. The major purpose, I think, of Elder Speak is to facilitate the discovery of insights, knowledge, deeply held priorities that people with a lot of life experience, namely elder people who've had decades of life experience, have amassed, even though they might not know they have it.
So when we initially outreach to an elder, we tell them a little bit about Elder Speak and invite them to participate. And to a person, they say, why would you choose me? I don't have any wisdom.
So the common response, I think, if a person is asked to consider joining an Elder Speak program a given year with 3 other people, those are the 4 elders for that year that will be meeting together and having conversation. The usual response is, well, I don't really have that kind of wisdom. I'm not sure that you have the right person in mind. And they smile and say, we've heard that before. And then it becomes clear in the course of the actual format, the actual year, which consists of meeting with 3 other older people, elders, once a week, once every 2 weeks, usually once a week. So with direct primary communication, listening, hearing, watching, seeing, loosely structured conversations, direct conversations about whatever.
I don't know how to say it for sure, but in your life that you can, don't be afraid to talk about yourself with other people, because it brought more to me then, and I think that's worth a lot.
I mean, that's a number one thing, creating safety so that elders can open up, because no one can open up and share unless they feel safe. And so safety creates that opening for vulnerability. Vulnerability brings out the value of the experience, because there's so much courage in vulnerability. And that's kind of our process. We hold the safety for the group. There's no judgments in this group. There's only support. And then that opens that doorway to being able to be vulnerable enough to share something that maybe you've held secret all your life. To open up those doorways to get past shame and find value in an experience that has been hidden because of a judgment.
The people being facilitators need to be incredible listeners to allow the elders to tell their story, but then to be able to delve deeper and to tease out from their stories, what their deep wisdoms are. I particularly am just so impressed with Deb and Theresa, with their ability to bring out so much more than the elders know that they have, kind of help them on their journey. It's their journey, but they need a little prodding and helping to go beyond their starting story.
So basically, it sounds very elementary, very simple. I would say it's foundational. It's basically learning the common insights with variations that each of us with large life experience has. And communicating that back and forth gives this feeling of family, which then can be extrapolated all over the place to your own family, not in the same way. You don't export it the same way to your grandkids as you do at these meetings, of course. But the insights are manifest more clearly with each month, so that by the time you get to September, when there's a presentation of sorts, and up at Sleeping Lady, and you talk about, each person talks a little bit about what is termed a wisdom statement. By the time that happens, you say to yourself, yeah, I understand some insights that have come forth that I always had before this program. It did not create new insights for me. It gave them voice.
Why is one wisdom statement important? I think it's because if someone asks you, I want you to come up with one wisdom out of all of your life experiences, there will be many, many wisdoms that come up. We want one. What is the most important wisdom to you? And what that causes is a distillation. The elders have 9 months of discovering their wisdoms. And they're like, how are we? You're crazy. We can't pick one. But we keep at it with them. And it causes them to distill down. Well, what is the most important, basic, bottom line wisdom to me? Doesn't have to be the most important wisdom to anyone else, but what is it to me? And so I think it just is a gift of finding that one most important thing in my life, that one most important meaning in my life. And every elder comes away knowing that one most important piece for them. And it's different for every person. But what a rich thing to know about yourself,
It was just very positive experience to share all the different things that happened in my life, good and bad. There's always, the more people you have in your family, the more sadness and joy are there because of all the different ones that things happen to. It opened up my world a little more. And without the questions, I think we wouldn't have shared as much. It was important for them to ask us certain things or give us an idea of what to talk about.
When we're talking with the elders, we listen to their stories. We really listen. And questions come up that intrigue me or intrigue Deb or Robin. And we ask them to tell us a little bit more. And when they do, we hear the deeper experience. We hear the wisdom that they have carried from their stories that they didn't even know they had.
I think that bringing Elder Speak into my classroom and having my students record the elder interviews is super important. I know in my life, I only got to see my grandparents at Christmas, birthdays. That might have been it. Christmas, birthday, Thanksgiving. right? So 4 times, 5 times a year, maybe. And it wasn't exactly a campfire scenario, you know. I mean, you're not going to be sitting there absorbing life stories from your grandparents at a family event, not at my family at least. And so as families become more distant or whatever as time goes on, I think that my situation is the same as a lot of my students, or they may even have more distance between their family than I did, and my family is pretty distant. So the idea of hearing someone in their 70s and 80s talk about their life and their ordeals that they went through is even more powerful, because we don't get that. Even if we see our grandparents, it takes a special environment and setting for the student to like have the phone gone, or we have so many distractions. Even if we're around our family members, it takes a conscious effort to get rid of all distractions and have an experience, a sharing experience. And that is what's happening here. And that may be the only time or the first time in any of their lives where that happened.
Everything basically in life is about relationship. The meaning of life has to do with relationships in one way or another. So I decided after this program, I need to tell my grandkids stories. My stories from my childhood, but not like some exercise, sit down, I'll tell you a story, but just a little bit here and there, growing up times, and they want to hear those.
I have twins that are 16, a boy and a girl, grandkids, and they shared things that they wanted to ask me about some things. And so it just gave us a kind of a more reason to get to know each other. And I wouldn't have had that without Elder Speak.